I'm doing a workshop on Loopcraft at the AI World's Fair on Monday. So I'm working through my example space, and it's like an hour workshop, and I'm being excessively ambitious with what I can get done. But I decided that like the fun thing to do would be to kind of build up a durable looping workflow engine from scratch. So starting from nothing and like building that through the tools and how I would think about it. And it starts out as like we want a really good repo to work on and what is involved with that and building kind of these structures at the very low level. So like at floor 0 of our loop elevator, we have things like linting and strong types and that sort of thing. And then you travel up that ladder and towards the top is this idea of cloud agents that are looping autonomously and doing work. So like the question is how do you get there, right? Like so you have two circles and then you have the picture of an owl and you have draw the rest of the fucking owl, right? Like so what does that even mean? And I think like loops as a concept is something that we all like should probably understand at this point if you've been developing for long enough. Like for loops, while loops. So when you're thinking about these, it's that. I actually take it a step further personally and think about them as state machines. And I think about workflows and state machines. I love like ingest. I love XState. These days, I also love implementing this sort of system, the underlying system with what's going on here in a CLI, and then I'm using the Pi agent browser. So a lot of what I'm structuring around this and a lot of what I'm like when I'm building and laddering up my loops, I'm doing this inside of Pi so that I have kind of full control over it. And eventually where I end up is Discord. So I keep just a personal Discord that I work in, and like this is this project. So it's the same project. I just have it in Discord, and I'm currently using this thread to send URLs of interesting stuff, and then it builds me these pages, which is nice for research and just having artifacts so I can go through as I build out my research. So that's how I'm using Discord for this project and then a bunch of my other projects too. So I'm doing a lot in Discord and have open threads and that sort of thing. So the idea is how do you get there? And then, like you go beyond that and you get into multiplayer, and Discord's actually a pretty good surface for multiplayer. And, like, do you need web UIs and how do you build the UI out? And for this particular thing, I'm using a couple of tools for the UI, and I'm building it in flight. So I'm building this looping mechanism and the infrastructure to loop autonomously as an agent. And there's a few things that I'm putting into it. And first is Pi, as I mentioned. And then I'm using Herdr. And Herdr is just interesting because this is actually connected to a Docker container. And I'm building these Pi extensions. So this is the active looping agent that has a little daemon, so like a little server. And it is attached to this app, which is lakebed.dev, which is Theo's shitty cloud for shitty apps. And in this case, that's what I want. I wanted a shitty app. And I was like, okay, well, let's deploy this to Lakebed and let's build an app. And I'm building an issue tracker because I'm trying to track issues. And the things that I want, like right now, as I'm building this out, when I'm thinking about this, is an interface, right? Like, so this is, it started out as JSON. So that was the progression was like, we're going to start out with just a flat file. And I was like, I need a database. I need to start doing this. And how do I do that? So Lakebed just like handles that. I don't know what magic is fucking going on back there, but it just handled it. And I was like, we want to connect. Like, so we want to have real time. And I know that baked into this is that kind of real-time syncing is like a core tenet of what Theo's baked into Lakebed. So I use that, and it built a pretty decent little thing. And I'm not really focused on this. I was like, I want kanbans. I want to see them go across. So as they are ready, they move across, and it's still not fully autonomous. There's all these open issues, but they have to actually get moved to ready and get some human approval. It says pre-approved. It's kind of stuck right now, and I'm working on that. But I'm using this looping structure, so you can see this is watching. So I'm just gonna, what issues are ready, and how can we now reload this or whatever we need to do so that ready issues that are pre-approved get actually picked up. So this is like a problem I've been having with it, like where it's shy. It's shy about these ready issues. I'm like perfectly fine. We've worked through them, used a lot of like Pocock style grilling to get here, and PRDs and all that kind of fun stuff. And then at this point, right, like we're making issues, and those issues are getting picked up. And fundamentally, the idea is this is the UI right now, and I'm using Pi and this surface area, but at the boundaries of all of the services. So whether it's the database for issues or syncing, or like how we do like input over here, the server itself, like it's all at the boundaries, adapters and ports basically. So like the inputs and outputs at the boundaries are built as such that we're coded against an interface, so I can swap them out. So when I want to like have linear issues, or I want to have GitHub issues, or where the fuck my issues might live in the future, I can just like ostensibly pack those in as, you know, like extensions or add-ons or whatever, and put it on as needed. So that's true for also the communication channel. So there's like Vercel's chat SDK, which gives you, you know, like an interface for connecting to different channels, because there's no reason that, you know, like this over here, my connection to it where I'm saying, hey, what issues do we have? What's going on? What's the current state? Can't be, you know, that can be basically any chat. I'm using Pi just because it's really handy, and I'm in the same context here, so I don't have to build that infrastructure yet, and I'm able to like ladder up and go up the elevator of looping capabilities into you know, something that's useful. Let's see. It's kind of, this is how I've been thinking about it here, where down here you have the reliability, and as you go up, you get leverage. And this is something that Swix talked about, and is when he mentioned Loopcraft, and I thought it was a good idea, just in terms of what do we need to build to like have loops that are strong and reliable, and then, you know, like where does the leverage come from? Where does this like actually become super useful? And that's when we start to get to the top.